All right, I'm live, as they say, but we need some lights because it's a bit dull and everything. So just let me sort out some light here. Oh, I can. He says, sort out the lights. There we go. Just sorting out the light. Right, that should be a bit better. If not to worry. Yes, that looks a bit better. Okay, I am live. Good morning and welcome. I hope you can hear me. We say this all the time. A little bit scruffy today, but I'm sorry. That's what happens. Anyway, let's look into the camera. And in fact, let's get the camera down a bit. Let's get the camera to there. Okay, hope you can hear me all right. You can see the dog's tail wagging away there. So the reason why I've come on this morning, I was going to do a live stream, but for some reason OBS is playing up, wasn't picking up the microphone, but also I've been told over the last couple of days that the microphone had some kind of interference on there, and so I was trying to change that as well. But anyway, nothing was working. It all went belly up. The reason why I've come on this morning is because somebody wrote on my video yesterday and said, could I do a review of some weather programs for X-Plane, which I thought was a bit strange because I've done lots of reviews for weather programs for X-Plane, but you know they go back a bit. So you know when there's over 400 videos to look at, it's hard to find things. Anyway, so what I thought I'd do is I would talk about some of the major weather programs that are around at the moment, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion. Now, it's only my personal opinion, okay? So I don't want people jumping up and down and start being, what's the word? I don't want them to be suddenly saying, well, this is better than the one you said, and this is better than that one, or whatever. This is my personal opinion based on a number of years of experience of dealing with weather programs and trying to figure out what is the best one, etc., etc. Now, at the moment, X-Plane is actually really enjoying probably the best period that it ever has in regards to weather, okay? And we've got to be very, very clear about a number of things. And I did this a few weeks ago. I did this where I gave an explanation about certain things, and that explanation was well received. I'm doing it again, and I'm doing it on camera as opposed to in sim, so to speak. And maybe I should get a pen and a piece of paper to help me. So it's always the same. When you're looking for a pen, you can't find one. I've got hundreds of pens in this study office, but I cannot find one. But I've got plenty of paper, so we'll find the paper first, and then find a pen. Okay, right. So find a pen. Here we go. I've got a pen. As I say, I've got hundreds of pens, and I'm just gonna make some notes. This is so I don't get lost in what I'm saying, so to speak. Okay. So, what we need to understand first of all is X-Plane has got its own weather engine, and it's got its own clouds. Okay, so it's got its own weather engine and its own clouds, and that we will refer to that as default. Okay, so that's default clouds, default weather. Okay, so let me talk about that to start off with. The default clouds and the default weather engine within X-Plane is perfectly fine. It's perfectly adequate. It does a fine job in depicting the weather and in loading in real-time weather. There are three options within X-Plane. You've got you can put historical meta as in, you can manually configure the weather, or you can use real world weather. That is it. Plain and simple. That's under when you go into flight configuration in X-Plane 11 and then look at the weather, and that's it. So that's default. Really simple. Okay, so it's got its own clouds and its own weather engine. Okay, that's one. Okay, so we've done that. That's default. What you can do to the default weather engine of X-Plane is that you can add in clouds. Okay, so there are lots of cloud add-ons. There's quite a number of them. FS clouds, FS economy, I believe. There's loads. And if I get a chance, I will make a list. What I'll do is I'll make a list of everything in terms of weather, and we'll post that somewhere, so you've got a definitive list with all links, etc. Okay, and I'll try to make it as definitive as possible. All right. So, in terms of default, the default weather engine, default clouds of X-Plane. You can add other cloud sets into X-Plane that the default weather engine will display. Okay. That's that. All right. Then what we've got is we've got weather engines, add-on weather engines, and there are only a couple of these. Now, a weather engine is something that generates the weather based on real-time data. Now, unfortunately, the real-time data will always be half an hour out, maybe more. Because what needs to happen is that the weather engine of choice needs to gather that data from weather stations all around the world or weather stations along your route. So say you have a route from, just for the sake of argument, Manchester to Madrid. Yeah, the weather engines will grab the weather data from your departure and your destination, and will fill in along your route at other weather stations. Now, there are a number of these. The best of them, I consider the best, is FSGRW, okay? FSGRW, okay? You have NOAA, NOAA, which is free to use. FSGRW is payware, and NOAA is freeware. Okay. There may be a couple of other weather engines. I will need to have a look, but the two that I know of that are used widely is FSGRW and NOAA. FSGRW you can use with FSX, FSX Steam, P3D, P3D version 4, X-Plane 10, X-Plane 11. Okay, but we're talking about X-Plane, so it works with X-Plane. Those are weather engines. A weather engine generates weather within your simulator based on real-time data. Okay, right. Then the next thing is weather enhancement packages. So these are packages which enhance the weather, how it's drawn. Okay, now there are a large number of these. Starting off with SkyMax, or SkyMax Pro 4.7, as it is commonly known. Okay, SkyMax Pro 4.7, X Enviro, yeah, X Ambiance, Active Sky XP, Ultra Weather XP. Okay, now all of these are weather package enhancements, cloud replacements, sky color replacements, light manipulation, sun and moon manipulation. There's one of them even manipulates stars, and they're all weather enhancement packages. Okay, I'm going to tell you that I'm not going to tell you the pros and cons of each one. I'm going to tell you which ones I like and which ones I use on a regular basis. There are a couple of others. There's another one that's just come out called X Atmos, which means X Atmosphere. And I might be wrong, but there may even be another one that has recently come out as well. Okay, so I'm going to go through them and tell you a little bit about each. Right, X Enviro, when it first came out, it was a big splash. Everybody thought it was wonderful. It looked very, very good, although for me, there were a few problems in terms of cloud, in terms of how they were produced, not produced, how they were depicted. And you could change the color of the clouds, and in the default mode, it was too white, and so you didn't see really any definition of cloud. You could adjust it, but then as soon as you started adjusting it, you could get it looking right in one situation, say flying underneath cloud, but then when you went above cloud, it looked different. Or then you could get it right if you were flying above the cloud, but then when you went underneath, it was different and wrong. Okay, so XEnviro, whilst it was good, it needed a lot of work. It was released on 1.8, I believe. Then 1.09 was released, and that was a kind of halfway house. It shouldn't have been released. And a lot of people got very annoyed because it promised so much, but it didn't do anything at all. And it went wrong. Everybody is waiting for 1.10. And I think they've been waiting something like a year now for 1.10. They've seen lots of pictures. There's been video released of it showing snow and accumulating snow. But as a result of those videos and pictures being released by beta testers who were under an NDA, I believe the beta testing phase has been halted. And some people, some commentators, influencers, and developers are saying that that may be the end of XEnviro, because the developer himself has been pushed into doing things before he wanted to do it. And because of the release of some of this video and images, it may be, I can't confirm this, that XEnviro may be halted. Certainly the beta testing has been stopped on it. So I think all the beta testers have been sacked or something. I don't know, but that's what I've heard. Okay, so XEnviro, I would personally, I would keep away from it until there is a new update, a definitive update, and we know that things are okay. I certainly wouldn't go spending money on it at this present time because we don't know what's happening. XAmbience, that came out a couple of weeks ago. I did a review of it. It's on the YouTube channel. XAmbience looked absolutely brilliant on paper, and the still images were fantastic. But what XAmbience does, it messes around with shaders and Raleigh, data refs, and a number of other elements within X-Plane that really you should leave alone. Okay. Laminar Research have been very, very clear about the shaders. The shaders are not part of the open source element of X-Plane. What Laminar Research is saying that the shaders are their property only, and that they will change the shaders at any time. And if they do, it will affect any applications that mess with shaders. So XAmbience, as good as it looked, and it did look very nice, unfortunately, because it uses shaders and Raleighs, I would keep away from it. But it looks great, especially when you turn up the city lights, because you can adjust the lights in it. You can adjust the bloom of the lights. You can adjust the light distance, illumination under clouds. But also with the clouds, it does strange things with the clouds as well. So that on a day when the clouds are supposed to be white, and I always judge weather programs from what I can see outside the window. So on a day when the clouds are supposed to be white, they're actually grey and dark. And I'd be quite honest. Whilst it looks good, XAmbience, it's got a few things wrong with it. Maybe it'll get changed in updates. Okay. But using it in conjunction with FSGRW, it produces some really nice effects. You could see weather fronts, clouds massing on a weather front as well. So it did produce some really cool effects. And I would wait maybe a couple of updates from XAmbience, and then it may turn into something quite useful. Active Sky XP. Active Sky XP is it's not a weather engine. It's just a cloud replacement. So it's cloud replacement. And unfortunately, they haven't got all their cloud sets in there as yet. Okay. But what it does do with weather, it does it very well, apparently. I haven't got it. I haven't had an opportunity to review it, even though I did invite Hi-Fi Simulations to provide me with a copy for review. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that, and it's an expenditure that I don't want to spend. So I can't give it an honest review. All I can say is that the images I've seen look very good. I think it will improve with age, and when I say age, within the next 6 to 12 months, I think that Active Sky XP will become a forerunner for weather depiction in X-Plane. Okay. That brings me on to Ultra Weather XP. Now, Ultra Weather XP is a contender. When I say it's a contender, I put it in the top 2 of weather depiction programs. Once again, it's not a weather engine. It's replacement textures. But not only is it replacement textures, it's the way that it actually depicts cloud and weather within the simulator alongside the use of FSGRW or whatever. It really is good. I like Ultra Weather XP. The first version that came out, there was an issue with overcast. When it was overcast, it was too dark. So you could have an overcast grey day, and the runway lights would come on because it was just a little bit too dark. But the way that it depicts weather, absolutely excellent. I think that Ultra Weather XP is certainly a major contender and well worth looking at. Okay, very much well worth looking at. X Atmos. I haven't looked at this. I kind of saw it being released and realized exactly what it was again, and it's the same as X Ambiance, that it messes around with shaders and relays and just really is an environmental depiction package as opposed to weather in that sense. Looks pretty, but you can do what X Atmos can do with lots of other programs and packages. So although I haven't done a proper review of that, I probably might do so this week if I get hold of a copy, which I can. But in the meantime, I'm going to hold back my opinion on that because I haven't reviewed it. Much like Active Sky XP, I haven't reviewed that. I haven't been able to have hands-on with it, so I'll hold back on my opinion until I can. And that leaves us with SkyMax Pro. Now, for me, I've been with SkyMax since SkyMax 1, and I bought it, as with Ultra Weather XP, I think. I bought SkyMax Pro, and I will continue to support Max FX and Sundog software. Now, these are two companies that got together. I know both of the guys, both of the developers, and so there are only two developers. One who draws the cloud and creates the cloud, and then the other who has the package that actually manipulates the clouds and produces the weather. Okay. Now, once again, SkyMax Pro is not a weather engine. Okay, so you have to use it in conjunction with something else. And people have had success with NOAA, they've had success with the default weather engine of X-Plane. But since the release of SkyMax Pro 4.7, they're very clear in saying that it should be used in conjunction with FSGRW, which is a weather engine. Okay, so SkyMax Pro 4.7 is cloud replacement, but does that in a very particular fashion. SkyMax have always worked very, very closely with Laminar, and they have the full approval and license of Laminar to continue to develop their package, along with FSGRW. Now, FSGRW and SkyMax have worked very, very closely together to integrate the two packages closer, to align them closer together and integrate them closer together. And FSGRW is now a 64-bit program to be used in conjunction with SkyMax Pro. You then have, in between SkyMax Pro and FSGRW, you have something called the Real Weather Connector. Now, if you buy SkyMax Pro 4.7, you get the Real Weather Connector free. You've got clouds provided by SkyMax, a weather engine provided by FSGRW, and the Real Weather Connector connects the two and ensures that the weather is depicted in your simulator as close to reality as possible, okay? As close to reality as possible. Now, the reason why I say as close to reality as possible is that because if you speak to anybody who is producing weather for X-Plane, they will tell you how incredibly difficult it is to predict weather exactly as it is in the real world, okay? So, for all sorts of reasons, there are many, many variables. When you look out the window, you see clouds in the sky or whatever. There is such an awful lot going on with the weather system to produce the clouds, the conditions, the atmospheric pressure, precipitation within that, where that precipitation is outside of the cloud and within the cloud, which also affects barometric pressure and all sorts of other things, is incredibly hard to recreate in a computer. Now, I've spoken at length with Frank Kane, who is the developer of SkyMax and who owns Sundog Software. And some of his packages, his professional packages, are used by Cessna, are used by Boeing, are used by NASA, and a whole raft of other commercial enterprises. You know, he has a huge customer list, okay? And as good as his package is in producing weather and making it look good and actually being close to reality, Frank has told me that it is incredibly difficult to create weather as in the real world. So even with what I consider to be the number one weather package, even with the number one weather package, it is still not going to be like the real world. But I will say that it comes incredibly close. And for me, SkyMax Pro is number one. I'm not paid to say that. I bought the package. I bought SkyMax Pro 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, I've updated for each major update I have paid for. So I'm not paid to say this. It is just my personal opinion based on a lot of experience with weather. And for me, the best combination is SkyMax Pro 4.7, Real Weather Connector, which you get free with it, and FSGRW. That is only my personal opinion. As always, the proviso is go out there, have a look on YouTube, see what people are saying. Try not to buy into the super hype and the arguments. Just look at what's out there and make an informed decision, okay, based on what you're seeing. The whole thing about weather is it is totally subjective. What I think looks fantastic, another person might think looks rubbish, plain and simple. So I can only give you my opinion, my advice, and that is it. There are two on the market that I willingly pay money for and have done, and that's SkyMax Pro 4.7 with FSGRW and UWXP, Ultra Weather XP. But of all the others, those two are the only two that I will have on my computer permanently. And I skip between the two. I'll use SkyMax for about a month, 2 months, and then I'll use Ultra Weather XP for 2 months. I skip between the two of them. And that is as much as I can say. I hope that helps everybody. The whole weather issue in X-Plane can be incredibly confusing if you just come into it. I do hope that this short video has kind of helped for some of you to get your head around weather. And if you go along with my recommendation, then fine. But what I will say to you, first of all, is just stick with X-Plane, with the default clouds and the default weather, whilst you're having a look around. Yeah, don't buy a package and then buy another package and then buy another package. Stick with X-Plane's default weather. Have a look around, look at the YouTube channels, look at the reviews, look at my old reviews. In fact, what I will do is I'll pull them out and put them into a playlist if I can, where you can just click on that and look at weather, and we'll take it from there. Okay. As always, my name is Wycliffe Barrett. This is X-Plane Dedicated. We'll see you soon. Peace out. Cheerio.